consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your Soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize.
Welcome, my loves. I am so excited to have, of course, another incredible episode for you today on how to manifest yourself to be pain-free from medical and mental health concerns, such as posture alignment, chronic pain and injuries, digestive problems, respiratory problems, reproductive problems, mental health issues, and addictions. So if you or you know somebody that really struggles in these areas, please do share this episode with them. I have a very special guest today who I met networking, and I can't wait to share more with you about Shane Moore. Before we do that, though, my loves, I have an ask. If you haven't seen, I'm sure you have if you've been following me. I am nominated for 4 categories, but I had to narrow it down to 2. Entrepreneur of the Year and Champion Award. So I would love if you go to support me and vote for me at www.businessfromtheheart.ca. The link is in the show notes. This is a daily vote until September 30th, and I so appreciate your support. I feel like I've already won anyway because of the nominations. Like, hello, you know. The rest is just more like, yay, accolades. But anyways, I am so excited. Thank you so much, my loves. And thank you always for tuning in and for your support. I love you, community. Now, let's shift gears here. Let me introduce to you this wonderful woman, Shane Moore, who I met at a working event with her partner, Anna. And it was just like such a wonderful, intimate networking event. And then we got together. So she is so wonderful. And she's my Kelowna soul sister. Shane Moore is passionate about helping others learn to heal themselves. Her body of knowledge encompasses authentic, holistic methods in her unique approach that has proven extremely effective in relieving pain, restoring mobility, reducing and illuminating tumors. So not illuminating, eliminating. We're not going to illuminate them. Maybe we will that. We'll see about to glow, reversing illness and disease, and helping people regain control of their health and their quality of life. Basically, she's a miracle worker. Shane addresses not only the physical aspects of the body, because we all know, those of you who really know this, right? It's not just the physical. There's mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects as well. Recognizing that you cannot treat one area without affecting all of the others and expect to get results. So Shane is going to tell you about her own journey and how she got to be who she is today and do what she does, like miracle work. Hi, love. Welcome. So
Thank you.
I'm recording here in Edmonton in my parents' place. We got some 90s vibe going on. But you're out in Kelowna. And I'd love for you to share your story and just share with us your journey and how you got to be who you are and do what you do today.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's see.
I know we have like an hour.
Okay. Well, the Coles Notes version then, a little bit more than the Coles Notes. I guess I could say it started when I was working in corrections in Ontario. I was a correctional officer, and then I was a probation officer for 6 years. So I was 12 years working in the institution and in the community together, and working with all kinds of people that had all kinds of problems. Seeing people coming into the jail had been living on the streets, and their bodies were just ravaged by misuse and just, ill health, not enough food, putting things into their body that was not meant to go into their body, not sleeping, not whatever, right? Like just all the kinds of things that people that, are living on the street kind of experience. And
Yes.
so when you see
Fun
these people,
facts. I want to say I also worked at a jail
really,
when I
wow,
was a
small
student
world.
therapist. So
Okay,
I totally know what you mean. Yeah, I didn't know.
yeah,
No, we had commonality.
yeah. Yeah, and so after seeing these people like in off the streets, for a week or so, and just the transformation in their bodies, just from having a place to sleep, having food, regular meals every day, even though it's maybe not the top notch food being served in the prison system, but it's still better than anything they were getting on the outside, and just the body's ability to recover and start to heal itself and change so quickly just amazed me. And and that's really where I started to get more of my trauma informed training. Obviously working with a lot of people that are in the
Mhm.
system have been through a lot of trauma. A lot of people who work in the system have also been through a lot of trauma, and
Yes.
so that was a bit of a preparation for me, on this path that I
Wow.
had no idea that I would end up doing this at that point, because I just kind of went where the wind took me at that point in my life, and didn't really have any real direction, I would say, after finishing
Mhm.
university. And I just really didn't know what I
Mm.
wanted to do. And so, yeah, and then after 6 years in the probation office, I just decided that I needed to do something else. Like I'd gotten everything I could from that job, and it was so good to me, and I learned a lot, but I just needed to move on. So I went back to massage school and got my massage diploma in Ontario, and worked as an RMT for a little while, and then I learned myofascial release. And I should mention, um, previous to that, when I was still working in the jail, I had my own cancer experience, and I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma and had chemo. And I didn't need radiation, thankfully, but I had chemo, did the whole chemo thing, and managed to get through chemo without being sick at all, which was a total mindset thing. 100%, because I would only take anti-nauseant drugs on the day of chemo and not afterwards, because they were like $230 a pill or something, and I just didn't want to spend that much
Wow.
money on it. So I just told myself, I'm not going to get sick from this. I'm going to come through this okay. And I did. I focused 100% on myself and my wellness and my diet and all of that. So yeah, I had, I was that was a catalyst for my health consciousness. So I started to work out a little bit more. I've always been active, but I really started to pay attention more to what I was putting in my body, and just really looking out for myself more.
Really
Um,
changing your lifestyle. I can hear that.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
know what that is? What more motivating thing when you hold a pill and it's like, this is $230. Let me just
mhm,
change my lifestyle. Let's see what
exactly.
happens.
Right?
Wow.
Yes,
Incredible.
yes. And so yeah, I went to massage school, and about my first year into practice, the end of my first year, I found myofascial release as taught by John Barnes. And that was like a light switch moment for me,
Mm.
really. It was like, okay, this is the game changer for people. Like this is what is going to really affect things in the body on a much, much deeper level than anything else that I've experienced before. And so I have, learned more since then. Obviously, my learning journey always continues. I
Mhm.
started to travel and change my business model and all that sort of thing, and because I want to work with people on a more intensive level, because that's the level at which things really can change very quickly in a very short period of time and stay
Yes.
changed, right? Like
That's
this.
actually what got my attention. when we were introducing ourselves at the networking events, and you were speaking about how you, which we will go later into in our episode, but how you provide support and treatments for your clients. I was like, that sounds delicious. Do I have to be sick to come see you?
No,
No,
you
and we'll
don't.
talk about that too.
Yeah.
So then please continue about your journey.
Okay, so then yes, I just, started to travel more. I basically sold everything I owned. I left the country and started to
I just love
travel
stories like
and started
that.
to
Takes
connect
so
with
much
other
courage.
people. Yeah, and started to connect with other healers around the world. I ended up
Yeah.
mostly in the UK and Europe, and just connected with a lot of amazing people over there. Got to work with a lot of amazing people over there, and then ended up coming
Wow.
back here eventually. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Wow, wow, wow. I'm really curious. Like it just always just literally blows my mind when people can just sell off everything and be that free. I'm inspired by that. And I'm really curious, what really got you to make that change? Like what motivated you? Is it
Uh,
because of your traveling, like your value of
it
that
was
freedom?
it was just the desire to not
Mm,
feel stuck in that space anymore. I just knew
wow.
that I couldn't create what I had envisioned, in the place that I was in. It wouldn't. I knew
Mm,
that it wouldn't support it in the city I was living in at that time. I just knew it wouldn't support it, and there wasn't enough people there that would share my vision and truly believe that it
mm,
would happen. So I needed to go find the people
mm.
that were going to be like all in 100% supportive of what I was doing,
Wow.
and
I want to
eventually
highlight this
probably
for,
part of that.
yeah, I feel like this is really important to highlight for our listeners and our audience here is that Shane, you were willing to do pretty much anything and everything to get yourself out of what wasn't working in terms of your environment, because research always shows, even if you're making all this progress, if you're surrounded by people or in environment that doesn't actually support and expand your growth, unfortunately environment always wins. And so
Yeah.
I love that you are willing to take that courage and like literally turn your whole life around, turn it upside down, and like just go somewhere totally foreign. I think, like honestly, those kind of stories just inspire me and just blow my mind. So amazing.
It was actually really easy, to be honest. Like it was not
What?
difficult
Okay,
at
well,
all.
clearly that would be easy for me.
But well, I mean, you're in a different situation, right? I mean, at that time I
Yes, we're all
was
different.
on my own, so I
Yeah.
didn't have really anybody else to consider except myself. So, that's much easier just to pick up and, grab a couple of carry-on bags and just go because that's all I took with me. I was just gone for months at a time
Wow.
and yeah, it was really an interesting experience just to have that
Mm,
freedom and just to be nomadic and not really have anything in mind that I needed to do or any like really and just getting used to,
wow.
being okay with that and just not really
Well, I
needing
imagine
to
even
do
going
anything.
through a life-threatening disease would really make you just realize, like, I can do anything. Like, I haven't fully been living my life, so I'm gonna go and do the things that I've always wanted to do or put myself out there. Like, I think death really brings up that like new perspective for us, and that like next level of courage and
Yeah.
boldness.
Well, I don't know if I really felt like death was a consideration even with the diagnosis, to be honest.
Mm,
I was told that it was one of the more curable cancers, and I mean, as soon as I heard the diagnosis, I'm just like, "All right, what do we need to do? Like, let's just get this done then." And
that's
you
how
know,
resilient you
and
are.
well, I mean, I'm not one just to sit around and say like, "Why is this happening to me?" and just because
Mm,
and this is what I learned. Well, I guess I kind of knew it all along, right? Um, but this is what was reinforced for me is that I created this for myself, like in the end, and that is what I learned, once I started doing myofascial release and reading more about energy work and getting more connected to my spiritual self. I just really started to understand that all the crap that I was holding on to and the grudges I was holding and just the stuff that I never let go of as a kid or whatever, just that was what created that cancer. And so I'm just like, okay, well, I'm done with that then. Like, let's like have this
Yes.
ability and and so I'm not unique in that. Like, I can't be the only one that's able to do that, right? We can all do that. We all have that power to do that. So that became my mission. My new mission was to share that and help educate people and remind them, because that's an innate knowing. I truly believe that innately we all know this information on some level. We just forget, and we get trained out of knowing it, right? We get told other things like we need to go to the doctor and we need to take this medication and you need surgery to solve all these problems or whatever. And it's like those things can be very helpful at times. But they shouldn't be the go-to, right? Like, there are other ways to resolve things. And yeah, if you're in a major car accident or some catastrophic injury, then yeah, you're going to want a really good doctor and some really heavy medication to get through pain and stuff like that. But until you've hit that point, God forbid anyone does, but until you've reached that, there's so much we can do for ourselves to really relieve our own pain and suffering. And so
what I'm really hearing, and again, I want to highlight for the audience, Shane, is you took the first step, which is one of my really core concepts that I really believe it shifts everything in life. And so it's shifted my own life, that concept of taking yourself from victim mindset, victim consciousness, to radical personal and spiritual accountability, that responsibility. Like, I co-created this. I did this to myself, and I can do something about it. Like, I think that's the most powerful consciousness we can embody. The first step is recognizing this, that we co-created ourselves.
Because it won't really resolve if you don't recognize how it got there, right? I mean, it can start to relieve and release, but unless you really do connect with that and recognize how it got there, it's probably going to start to come back to some degree. Anyway, so it's about changing
the people that come
behavior.
and so people that come see you, are they already in that radical responsibility consciousness, or do they come see you because more on the 3D level, they're like, I just got this pain, or tell us, like, where are your most ideal clients coming at when you meet them?
Well, I mean, I don't know, because I end up working with a lot of different people, right? At a lot of different places in their journey. And that's great. Like, that's the great thing about this work, is that it will be beneficial for anybody at any point in their journey. And I just need to meet them where they're at and just, go from there. And I don't, shove the spirituality side of this down anyone's throat. If that's not where they're at, then, it doesn't need to be part of it. But, I recognize that it is, and my connection, I believe, would be strong enough for whatever needs to happen for that client. Now, ideal client who's going to see major changes, like, really, really quickly, is somebody who's really tuned into themselves and really wants to, take themselves to a much higher level. Because, I mean, when I was in the UK and in Europe, I was meeting a lot of people who were energy workers and very spiritually connected. And so when I was treating them and they started to do their modality in conjunction with what I was doing, like, I could just feel the shifts in their body happening instantly, like so much faster than any of the other clients that I'd worked with previously. So, it's when you can, it's when you can tune into your body and what you're feeling in your body and not resist it, right? Like, you have to sit with it. It's going to be a bit uncomfortable. Like, it's, I mean, but breathing, breath work is so important. And so if you can breathe and release, then it's just going to go, right? Like, and if you're not resisting, then it's just going to go that much faster. So yeah, the people who are really tuned in are the ones that are so like they're fun to work with, I guess. But I mean, I also love to work with people who maybe aren't and still see the great results with them, because that's possible too. It's just that the results might not stay as great for as long, because this work is also a maintenance work, right? Like this, I teach people
Mhm.
to self-treat, because I mean, it's like eating healthy or bathing or exercising. You
Mhm.
have to do it on a regular basis in order to maintain the results, right? So it's
Yeah.
about adding a little bit of self-care, self-treatment into your day throughout the week and throughout the year. And, to a degree that isn't interfering with the rest of your life, but enhancing what it is that you want to do, right? Because we
Yeah,
really,
and I'm so sure that people feel it if they sort of fall off their routine, and they're like, "This is how
mm,
important this is to
yes,
continue maintaining and sustaining my health." Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Tell me, Shane, I'm really curious, and tell our audience here, um, perhaps this would be a good point where you can walk us through, and if it helps to illustrate it with a client case study, how exactly you treat your clients and what that looks like.
Well, I mean, everybody's different, obviously, but
Mhm.
the techniques are relatively the same for the most part. It's I do a lot of hands-on work because I do feel that the touch aspect of treatment is very important, for the
Yeah.
physical connection, and just to really highlight what's going on in somebody's body that they may not be connected to. Because even
Mhm.
though those of us who are a little bit more connected than maybe the average population, we're still holding on to stuff in our bodies that we may or may not be aware of, and we may or may not be allowing ourselves to access and release. And I mean, even as a therapist who's been doing this work for 12 years, I mean, I still really appreciate being treated by other therapists. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
so I mean, I do a full postural assessment, and I do before and after photos if the client wants that, and
Oh,
we
that
do,
would be amazing because of a
yeah.
tangible result. Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and really, I mean, even video, if it's a movement issue that people are looking to see the change, because I mean, we all get
Mhm.
so used to seeing ourselves as we are, right? We don't necessarily see ourselves the way I would see somebody. Like I see people all the time walking down the street, and like I can see all what's going on in their
Yeah.
body with the
You
posture
cannot
and the
see what you
movement,
don't
and
know. You already know, yeah.
exactly. And yeah, some people might recognize some of these things in themselves, but most people are just so used to it, right? Because our bodies just
Yeah.
adapt to these,
Mhm.
imbalances and that sort of thing. So, because the body is like that, it's designed to adapt and get us through as much as it can. But
Mhm.
eventually, we need to help it out a little bit, right? Like we just need to
Yeah.
give it a bit of a
Yeah.
hand and stop getting in the way, because it will heal itself if you let it. But we tend to get in the way of that process more often than not.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do hands-on work. I include now is a new addition, relatively new, I should say. I do voice vibration sound healing with people as well, because
Ooh.
I mean, everything's vibration. We know this, right? Energy is vibration, voice, and so the voice work that I really learned a few years ago with a good friend of mine now,
Mhm.
is so powerful. Like it just helped me free up my ability to speak in front of people. Like it was unbelievable,
Mm.
and just really access different areas of my body that stuff was just stuck. So
Can you
when I
paint an example of that? Like, tell us about a client that you did some voice um, with?
yeah, well, I worked with the woman that I took this 7-day sound healing course with. It was this really cool retreat in Ireland, which was amazing. And
Wow.
yeah, and so I ended up crashing on her couch for about 5 months that summer after we met on that course. Actually, no, I think we met the weekend before at the book launch, and then her course was happening the week after that. And then she's like, "Here's my key. I won't be home for a couple of days, but go stay at my flat." I'm like, All right.
Okay, also manifested.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. So I ended up staying with her for a while, and so we did an intensive because we just felt like we wanted to trade what we do and just see how it goes,
Mm.
right? So I was working in her psoas, which is really the hip flexor muscle, really deep in the abdomen on the front of the spine, and that's a super tight area for just about everybody.
Oh,
I don't think I've found a person yet that doesn't need psoas work. And I mean, she was feeling it. She could manage it, but she just was like, yeah, it was just really, really hard. And so I'm like, okay, now sound into that area. And so the sound for that area that I was working on was I think it was probably the sacral chakra sound, which is who. So I just said, okay, sound who, and she did. And as soon as you started doing it, it just started to release. And so it was, yeah,
wow.
so
That
much
is
faster.
incredible. And so does it always match like whatever area it is and whatever line of the chakra it is? Is that the sound, or can it be
Um,
sometimes like and is it channeled from you or is it channeled for them?
well, the sound is through her, obviously. It's like she's the one
Yeah.
making the sound. So whatever
Yeah.
sound that needs to come out at is what comes out as that. I
Got
can
it.
suggest that she's going to channel whatever sound she needs to channel
Got
anyway.
it.
And, but
Right.
because all I did was say is sound into this. So she's going to pick whatever sound that needs, what she feels will work best for her. Now, if there was somebody that I was
Mm,
working with who didn't necessarily know those different chakra level sounds, then I might
yeah.
suggest a sound, or I would start the sound myself. And because I've had to do that, with a number of people, just because people are a little bit self-conscious about starting to make sound like that, and really release on that level, because we don't let
Mm,
ourselves really express with our voice on that deep
so
kind
true.
of guttural level, right? And sometimes, like, because we
Yeah.
never know what's going to come out from that, and we're maybe afraid of how that will be perceived, and so yeah,
I think
it's
that's a big one, right? Afraid of how we're going to be perceived and
yeah,
just like not knowing what is gonna come out. So like, oh, I'm a little bit
yeah,
scared, uncertain, but I feel like that's like so potent, powerful. I know the power of
yeah,
sound too. Even working with my clients, just like sometimes we go into the trenches and we're just like doing that
mhm,
sacred rage, because how much
yeah,
of us stuff that down, and I'm sure you see that in
absolutely.
the for sure in the body. So it's
Oh,
so
absolutely.
powerful,
Well,
the release that
everything that happens
yeah,
to us in our lives gets trapped in our tissues,
stored in
everything.
here. Yep.
Right. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's no wonder we start to feel a little bit sick once we start doing this body work, right? And that can
Yeah.
happen when I work intensively with people, is that, I mean, I've had clients get physically sick and throw up in a bucket and then
Mm.
keep going, right?
Mhm.
Because all the
Yep.
toxins are being released and the body's learning to process that and clear it.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
it can be
Yes.
very
That's very
powerful,
deep
but it can
somatic
be a
work
struggle.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate when I do somatic work with my clients. It's very similar
Yeah.
in that there's not touch in the same way. Of course, we have different
Right.
backgrounds, but definitely can appreciate what you're sharing around like when we let something out, sometimes it physically comes out. So, and it's so
Yeah.
powerful when that happens. So I'd
Yeah.
love for you to continue sharing your method, but what we're going to do right now is take a break. And when we come back, Shane's going to continue sharing more of her incredible work with us and how she's such a miracle worker.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities.
Are you feeling maxed out working one-on-one with clients and you're deeply desiring to scale your business for more time freedom without sacrificing your income, but rather expanding it? Many of my clients who are light workers, healers, practitioners, and even coaches, they're often multi-modality, are coming to me because they are sick and tired of working with clients on a one-off session model where the clients are coming in on an as-need basis. Or if they're selling packages, they are selling them in the sense of buy 5, get 1 free, or the greater the number of sessions, the greater the discount. The problem with this is it's still a dollar for hours business model. And so that leaves the practitioner feeling really exhausted and overwhelmed from having to put so much time, effort, and energy in finding new clients that they're not operating in their most elevated self with their current clients. And so if this is you, I would love to share with you that it's time to elevate your business and scale it to sell high ticket one-on-one programs or even group programs. This will allow you to have more deeper impacts because you're raising your clients' results, you're scaling your business, and you're having that time freedom you deeply are yearning for. If this is resonating with you, love, I'd love to invite you to come on a soul business alignment call with me so that you can stop feeling like you're on this roller coaster ride and start to feel safe and stable and even having fun in your business and your finances. Please go to electrifymybusiness.com to apply and we'll hop on a call. I can't wait to connect.
If I could be you and you could be me for just 1 hour, if we could find a way to get inside each other's minds, walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse, walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back, loves. All right, Shane. So please continue sharing with us. So there's the voice healing that happens. And then what comes next? What do you focus on next with your clients? And I know it's all dependent, but generally in your method.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I said, it's all downloaded, right? Like I don't have a protocol when I work. I just do what I feel called to do, or if the client has, has any specific requests, we'll address those for sure. I also really like to treat in water. I've done some water treatments.
Tell us more about that.
Well, it's amazing because it's supportive, right? It takes gravity out of the equation, and it allows you basically to move in any direction you want, because when your body's starting to release, it will unwind. And I don't know, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of your audience is aware of what unwinding is, but it's basically when the body just starts to move in whatever ways it feels necessary in order to release what's going on itself. So much like the flight, fight, freeze response in animals when they've been traumatized or injured, then they're frozen, and then when they're releasing, right, they just start to shake and let all that.
Which we actually don't as humans. I say, you said
we do,
a lot.
We do, but we don't let us ourselves. We're able to, but we've stopped allowing ourselves to do that, and so this process helps remind you to do that, right? This teaches people to start doing it again, and so you can basically
I
do
love
some
that.
form of that at any point in your day if you're feeling stressed or, tight or
Mm,
whatever. And actually, I really like to do it after I was working out because before when I used to do CrossFit on a fairly regular basis, so I was lifting heavy
yeah,
and doing a lot of intense things to my body, which I no longer do because it's not serving me. But
ditto.
but I would just lay on the floor and I literally just wiggle and shake my whole body for like
Mm,
5
I love
minutes.
that.
And I like that would do more for my recovery than anything else is just doing
That
that.
makes
And
sense.
so,
That makes
yeah,
sense. Yeah,
and
and I want
so
to say when I just to clarify is we when I teach about trauma, um, that's also the analogy I use is like after animals flight from their prey, right?
yeah.
Before they enter their herd or their flock, they shake it off. But as humans, we stuff it down and we
Yeah.
don't actually
Yeah.
consciously allow ourselves to shake it off. So I'm like, that Taylor Swift song is totally on point. But also I want to share like how powerful it is to shake off. Like even when I'm getting healing done, my body immediately shakes. I vibrate so
Yeah.
much. It looks like I'm having convulsions, but it feels so good.
Yeah.
I love
It's
it.
amazing. Amazing. And
Yeah.
the problem is that that happens a lot in hospitals, right? Like people are having these
Mm,
releases and the doctors
right.
are thinking that's a seizure, right? And it's not. It's
Oh.
the body trying to release this trauma that's happening to it, right? And so
Mm,
they pump it full of drugs and that stops that process. And so that's,
I
is
forgot about
more stuff
that.
that gets trapped in the body. And
Yeah.
and yeah, so
Wow.
I mean, yes, there's a process to release that as well, and of course that's
Mm,
that's a possibility. That's possible to do that, but if you could avoid that, then you're that much better
yeah,
off, right? And so it would be
absolutely.
nice to see mainstream medicine recognizing more of this within their parameters and understanding the body on a little bit of a different level. And just realizing that not everything needs to be stopped, and some things just need to let run their course, right? And just, I mean, as long as
Yeah.
the patient's not in any danger, vital wise or whatever, then really it's not harmful to do that. So, but
Mhm.
it can look a little bit frightening if you don't know what it is, right? It can be a little bit
That
concerning
makes
if,
sense.
if
We're
you're
not
not
taught.
aware of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think that's
and
where the
so
education piece is so important.
exactly,
It is
exactly,
normal. It's
and
supposed to be
and
our
teaching kids like little kids like this, they have this ability and just this ease to let go and release, most of them. And
Mhm.
so if they
Mhm.
learned this at a very, very young age, then, there would be a whole lot less problems, health-wise
Totally.
for kids and all kinds of stuff. But, even birth trauma, right? Even if babies got treated in the womb and after birth and, and the mothers obviously need to be treated as well because that's
Mm.
a pretty traumatic process for both parties and you know
That prompts
babies.
me. Do you then work with pregnant women and how does that support them? Is that more aligned with the postural alignment? And tell us more about that.
I haven't worked with pregnant women, but that's not to say that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
It hasn't shown up for me yet, but yeah, it would be very beneficial, absolutely. And
Mm.
I mean, especially pelvic health and pelvic position for the birth process. I
Yes.
mean, I would say the majority of women, their pelvis is out of position, it's out of alignment when they
Yes.
go into labor, right? And so when that
Mhm.
happens, the tissues can't open up enough to deliver easily because I'm
Yeah.
not so sure that we were meant to. I haven't had kids, so but I'm not so sure women were meant to really have that much pain during that process because I think the
Mm.
tissues should expand naturally, and so I really do think that a part of that process um, for why it's so painful is that the pelvis is out of
Mm.
position. So and it doesn't
Mm.
take much to get it back into alignment and just have the pelvic tissues released because that's a super important
Right.
area for everybody to be treated as pelvic floor work and that sort of thing. So, but there's not a lot of people that are trained to do it um, and do it really well. So, and not a lot of people really, I don't think, know about that option as a modality or
or
Yeah.
even might feel comfortable having it done, because obviously it can be a very sensitive area for people, but
Yeah.
extremely helpful and extremely necessary if you can get yourself
Mm.
past the squeamishness about it, or whatever people's responses are to feeling like they want to have that area treated. But yeah, it's extremely beneficial to do that.
Shane, it sounds
So
like more for you to niche into too, if that like is yeah, I think a lot of times we just, and maybe this is what you see too, and I don't know if people come in as a quote unquote last resort, after they checks out everything
most
else
of
and they're
the
like, it's
time,
still
yeah,
yeah, right. And then they're probably not as skeptical, but there's probably some people who are like really skeptical about this if they don't quite understand this world yet.
absolutely. And that's fine. Like, I always tell people, it is fine to be skeptical as long as you're open to the experience, right? And just, but
Yes.
if you're
Yes.
totally resistant, then why even bother walking through the door? Like, I'm not, and I'll just be
Yeah.
fighting you, and you'll be fighting me, and we're not going to get anywhere, and you've just wasted your money and both of our times. So, you
Yeah.
know,
It's not
but
fun.
yeah,
Yeah. Not fun.
no. But if you're open, then yeah, things will change. It might not change on the scale that you have imagined, but you have to let
Mhm.
go of your expectation of how things will go and what they will look like and the
Yeah.
time frame and all of that, right? Like, just surrender to the process, and
Yes.
things will unfold exactly as they need to. And trusting that is one of the biggest
Mhm.
steps in any kind of treatment, I would say, with any practitioner, because there's so many
Yeah.
great modalities that work, but you have to do them on a frequent basis, right? Like, you have to do
Yeah.
them regularly. So, it's about finding the one that resonates most for you.
For sure. And I want to go back to when you say you do water treatment. Like, tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what's an example about how you work with somebody with water?
Well, I mean, I will just treat somebody in a swimming pool, or I mean, when I was living back in Thunder Bay, I bought this really big swim spa for my backyard water. So, yeah, it allows people's bodies just to move, because I do treat on a table, but I can treat standing, I can treat in a chair. Like, I basically can treat anywhere, you know, at, at any time. I
Right.
treated somebody on the floor of the airport one time when we were waiting for a flight. Like,
Wow.
really, yeah, yeah. Well, why not, right? We had some time to kill, and we had the space, so
Might as well. That's perfect.
yeah, yeah.
Flights are
But
everywhere.
yeah, I mean, if people are not afraid of water, then yeah, the water can be great. And it's because we are water, right? We're essentially
Mm.
fluid beings, and the water can help us really start to go back into that state of fluidity, by
Right.
supporting us a little bit more during
That
that
sounds
process. And
powerful.
so, yeah,
Yeah, that sounds really powerful. I'm even like visualizing my body is like, oh, that's like, ooh, that'd be such great
yeah,
flow. And your body can move probably more like
hmm,
flexibly when you're in water and you're not fighting that
yes,
weight. And
exactly.
yeah, that's really powerful. Wow. So Shane, tell us a little bit
Allowing
more.
yourself to unwind. You-
Sorry,
Sorry,
I think we have a little bit of a delay.
a little bit.
I was just about to ask, tell us a little bit more about, because you work both in person, and I know that when people come to see you, there's like a period that they stay with you, almost like a retreat
Yeah.
experience. And then you also treat people online. So I'd love for you to share with our audience, because there's probably going to be people who are like, oh my God, I need Jane, or I need to refer my aunts or somebody to see Jane. So please tell us, like, how are all the ways that people can work with you? I also know you have a program.
Yes. Well, there's as many ways as we can think of to work with me. I mean, I like to have my business that flexible that we will design
Mm,
a program for each individual person, right? Like, there's
yes,
no better protocol. I was previously doing, a 5-day or 10-day intensive, but I realized that that's not going to serve everybody, and I want to be able
right.
to reach people on different levels at different places. So, I mean, we can do anything from 2 days to 10 days intensive treatments. We
Mm,
can do 33-month online programs. We can do completely virtual, where I, send you PDFs and videos of different techniques, and we can check in and walk you through different things and keep you a little bit accountable. If that's what you need, then we can do that as well.
That's
So
probably
yeah,
a huge thing.
well, I think for
Accountability is
some people it is. I think for some
Yeah.
people, just to keep them on track. I know that I tend to stay with something more if I'm working with somebody else on it, and and it's
so.
just that
Yes.
regular
Because
meeting
lots of
that
people know what to do, but do they actually go and
absolutely,
commit to it? Yeah, so
exactly,
accountability
yeah,
is key.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure,
And so just to clarify, now I'm putting you on the spot, because when I met you, you had talks about people staying in your place and you treat them for days. Is that still something that you do?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the intensive intensives, right? Though that's a lot
Yeah.
of hands-on. We take you out of your everyday life so that you aren't responsible to anything but yourself, right? You don't have to focus
Mhm.
on work. You don't have to focus on family. You don't have to focus on
Mhm.
anything else. You're not going home after the treatment and getting all, pulled back into
It is
the
like a
craziness
retreat.
and whatever. It's an absolute
Mhm.
retreat. We
Yeah.
will feed you the top food, like super healthy food, and just really support you in every way possible. Now, I don't have my own space yet. That's my goal. My ultimate
Mm.
goal is to have my own property, and so we're just waiting for that to
Mhm.
manifest because I'm
Oh
super
my
excited
God,
to have my own
yes.
space. But
Yes.
but until that happens, there are a number of beautiful Airbnbs in the area that we can book for, the time that we need, and people will stay there. And if we need to bring in catering for that, or if the place has
Mm.
catering already, then that's all taken care of. So you don't have to worry about making your own food or
Yes.
doing basically
That
anything for
sounds
yourself.
delicious.
And
Well, and
except
that
for
really seems
just focusing on
you've
healing.
created it so that you have this business that it's aligned with your lifestyle. Clearly, you
Yeah.
love traveling, and so
Yeah.
you can go to the clients and rent an
Mhm.
Airbnb there too, right? Like that's
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
doing that in Europe for a while as well, and so that was working out really nicely, and people were loving
mm,
just the opportunity to get away and really, really focus on themselves. And I mean, I do
yes.
work with men, but it's been more women that I've been working with in the last little bit, and I mean, and moms, right? Like, and they
Yeah,
just never give themselves time away for their kids, and it's so
absolutely.
important, right? Like, I mean, moms
Mm,
put their kids ahead of everything most times, and so, this is an opportunity for them to really take care of themselves and show their kids how important it is to take care of yourself because you
yes.
can't always have somebody else doing everything for you, you know?
Yeah,
It's learning to
exactly.
be a bit independent and taking care of your own health. So yeah, it's
Mm,
super important for everybody to model that behavior, but moms
yeah.
especially.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, like, they definitely put themselves back burner, and I always preach, like, no, your relationship with you first.
Yeah,
Take care of
yeah,
you, fill up your cup. I think it's so deeply important. So,
yeah.
thank you for doing what you do. Like, this is potent and powerful. Do you ever treat? Because I'm like, like couples retreats, like couples together or like girlfriends together? Is that a thing?
Well, it hasn't been a thing, but
These are
I
ideas
mean,
for future
yeah. Not that we couldn't do it. I mean, eventually at the treatment center that I'm hoping to have, I will have multiple therapists coming in as well just
Mm,
to assist, right? Because when the more different therapists you can have their hands on you, then the better your experience, the deeper your experience, right? So eventually
oh, yeah.
that will be the case, but and people doing different modalities, specializing in different modalities, just so we can bring in experts in all different areas. So that's something I
So
envision doing. But
that is the
but yeah,
dream.
but back to the couples thing, like I mean, it's an interesting situation because it's sometimes couples, one person is more a caretaker of the other, right? So it might be
Yes.
difficult to allow yourselves to separate that. And I was actually even thinking about this morning for some reason.
There it is. Here it comes.
Yeah, and just thinking about how that might go, and thinking, you know what? Yes, I would want them to sleep separately, and I would want them, like I would suggest that they do, because your sleep space is so important too, right? Like, I mean, you're doing a lot of healing and unwinding in your sleep, and so if you don't have enough space to do that, or if you're, smacking your partner every time you're unwinding in your sleep, then that can get a little bit annoying or distracting or whatever. But
I also think, because I have a master's in marriage and family, I used to be a couples therapist, and I just love Shane like that. What would happen as well, I imagine, is it would evoke like their awareness of their dynamic, their patterns, and then you're breaking it, and then they get to reset it so that they're learning new patterns within their own bodies, mind, body, spirit, and then coming together in that. I feel like that would be so potent.
Absolutely. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Future retreats.
Yeah. Joint venture, baby.
So amazing. So then tell us, where can people find you as they're tuning in? I know we'll have it all on the show notes, but Shane, I'd love to, just in case people are just listening and they're like, where do I go right now?
Well,
Can you share your website?
Absolutely. My website is treattheelite.com. And I don't want people to get turned off by the use of the word elite. My belief is that elite is a mindset, and it's, we deserve the best. We each deserve the best that we can have for ourselves. So, and so your level of elite might be different from mine, but elite is also an acronym for healing. So it's emotional experience, letting go, intuition, touch, and expansion. So
I love that.
Not just about, all the rich people or anything like that. It's just people who want the best experience for themselves. This is what we offer this is what I offer at Elite Performance. Yes. That's the name of my business is Elite Performance, and so yes, treattheelite.com. And that's the same across all my social media. I'm not super active on social media these days. I just kind of come and go with it, but I have a Facebook page, I have a LinkedIn page, and I have Instagram, so people can find me there. And I do post articles and stuff on LinkedIn as well, and they should be on my website too. I need to check if I can do that. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Shane. So what I'm hearing is the best way to get connected with you, though, is your website.
Yes, the website has my phone number, and I need to put my email on there. No, my email should be on there.
There's got to be a contact form.
Yeah. No, you can click to make an appointment, right? Like you can book a 15-minute call with me, or you can book a consultation, which is paid. But yeah, it's there are ways to get a hold of me. Absolutely.
So good. Thank you, Ms. Miracle Worker. I love it. So good. All right, my love. So I do encourage you to go check Shane out if you're like, I need to just connect with her, or somebody as you've tuned into this conversation about the work that Shane does and how she treats people. I really highly encourage you to check her out, and of course, pass on the referrals. So in this last couple minutes right now, I'm going to invite us to move into a closing with a mindful meditation for the intention of these light codes coming in for healing on an energetic vibrational level. So taking a breath in, and then sighing out, an audible sigh. Just letting go of anything that doesn't serve or support, letting go of any pain, handing it over to Mother Earth. And then breathing in, suspending your breath for a moment, conjuring in your power, your energy, and then grounding down. Now, on the next inhale, I invite you to breathe into the area of your body that needs more spaciousness. It's a little tight, or maybe it feels a little painful or a lot of pain. Breathing in, bring your breath here. I'm going to really support this with some light language dropping in. Here we go. Breathing in. Expanding into this area. Sirakua, sinarakia, simorokura, tinarakia, sorkura, tinarakia, morsuanea, sinarakia, sorkura. Sorokura, sinarakia, sorkura, tinarakia, sinarakia, sorkura, kia, samorkura, tinarakua, siarakura, tinarakura, tinarakia. I'm breathing in again into this space, breathing in, feeling the tingles, the solidness, the lightness, whatever is coming through, maybe even emotional release, any release of the tension. Sirakia, surukura, tinarakia. Breathing in. Suspending your breath. Really bring your breath into that area of pain and out. Beautiful, my loves. May you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Shane, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.